I need you to imagine for a second, you're playing Gex and your fucking Mad Catz exploded. That's bad controls right there. You should have been playing Gex the way it was meant to be played. Completely, 100% naked. Defining controls is pretty hard because they go hand in hand with a bunch of other mechanics in video games. Movement, responsiveness, graphics, hell, even the physical controller itself. I think all of us have played games with bad controls and games with good controls, but it can be hard to find which games have great controls. I was playing Astros Playroom, and although it's a very fun game, especially for a pack-in, and it showcases the power of the little man Sony put inside my controller quite well, I still don't know if I would say it had great controls. But Fortnite, that's a game that had great controls. For the months that I spent playing that game, its building system got ingrained into my head. And for how much I really don't care for Fortnite anymore, the building system and how it operated was, and still is to my knowledge, fantastic. So in this video, I'm going to go over a few pretty phenomenal examples of controls. Keep in mind, this is not a video about controllers. It's a video about control. Skateboarding games are some of the most interesting when it comes to controls. There's a lot of ways you can make a skateboard control, but none of them will be just right. That begs the question of what exactly makes a skating game fun, and well, it's certainly not having a $120 paperweight and then deciding, well, that game sold terribly, I guess we'll make a sequel. Thanks, Tony Hawk. I could talk a bit about the downfall of Tony Hawk games, but I don't want to write all that, and I have not played any of them, so. Skate 3, it's the most skateboarding video game of all time. The Skate series used a control scheme known as the Flick It system, and the best way I can explain that is to show you some sex, but since that's not allowed on Daily Motion, I guess I could just talk about it. In Skate 3, the face buttons are really just for pushing and braking and some novelty tricks. Instead, the two analog sticks pretty much make up all you do in the air. The left stick handles rotating and flipping and shit, and the right stick handles the board flip tricks sort of stuff. There's also the triggers to grab, but besides that, it's all in the sticks and the flicks. Skate isn't a terribly hard game, but it will take you a good amount of time to figure out how to master your board. All these qualities I've talked about sound pretty good. Innovation, challenging but really rewarding execution, sticks. But I mean, come on. This was the Xbox 360 PS3 era. By then, controllers actually looks like they were made for humans. Is it really impressive that this game controls well? I mean, I think so. Super Mario Odyssey is one of my favorite games, just like the series I made called Favorite Games. Isn't that funny? Anyway, I played it entirely with Joy-Cons. Joy-Cons aren't the worst thing in the world, but they're not very good either, especially for a game like this. Despite this, Odyssey has some of the best controls in any platformer that I've ever played. Mario has so many tricks, thanks to both his many jumps and his sentient hat that Mario repeatedly throws towards hard objects. I mean, I'm pretty sure he can feel pain, so that's kinda fucked. The motion controls, they're pretty annoying, but all things considered, it's pretty banging. I love this control scheme. It provides so many opportunities for skips and optimizations. The controls, they just feel so fluid and responsive. But you know what? This isn't a video about movement, so let's talk about Tetris. Tetris is a very simple concept that some people are very, very skilled at, and I think that shows evidence of well-adjusted and fluid controls. The controls for Tetris probably didn't have a ton of work or thought put into them, but that's not really what this is about, is it? Instead, Tetris and its controls melt into each other, to the point where it doesn't feel like you're hitting A to rotate the piece. You're just rotating the piece. Tetris does this very well, to the point where some people can do shit like this. Meanwhile, I didn't even know the game had an objective. I thought it was just creating funny shapes and shit. The Dirt series is pretty interesting to me, as it borders the line between realistic sim games that go way over my head, and the gamey goopy goblin gamer games. Dirt 4 is my game of choice because it's fairly easy and really forgiving in certain aspects. One of the aspects that it's certainly not forgiving in is its controls. Imagine that you were driving a car, except you could only turn the steering wheel hard right or hard left. That's what this game's like on a keyboard. The saving grace, however, is that these cars control in such a way where my brain just completely zeroes in on driving. It's not super impressive, but it's very fun in a weird way. Something about the challenge combined with fixing your car and the other sim aspects just really gets itself into my stupid gamer brain. And at the core of it all is how fun it is to attempt to control these 2-ton death machines with literally like 4 buttons. Keen viewers among you might have noticed that Celeste was also the topic of my last video, and since then I've been enjoying my time with the game. Compared to something like a 2D Mario game or Mario 3D World, Celeste is intensely focused on its controls. While 2D Mario games have always focused on the levels, creating dozens of these bite-sized stages per entry, Celeste does something else. These huge levels each focus on a few new mechanics, with each screen basically going as follows. You walk into a room and see a key or a strawberry or button or something. You have to use the small number of actions you have available through the controls to solve this problem. After a bit of trying, it finally clicks into your brain, and after a bit more trying, you finally get it. This focus on problem solving and using the controls as tools is something that isn't very common in the style of 2D platformer, and it's done very well in this one. Even on a surface level, Celeste still has some great, responsive, and satisfying controls. I think that this dev team was able to take such a simple dash mechanic and make pretty much an entire game with it. That's really fucking sweet. If Skate is the Jesus Christ of skating games, then Smash is the Jesus Christ of fighting games. Instead of arbitrary button combos and spacing, Super Smash Bros. Is a very simple game, at least in concept. Each character has a unique set of moves that change depending on the direction of the analog stick, whether or not you're in the air, and a couple other things. It's pretty dense and complex to me, but in the context of other fighting games, it's radically simple. Again, in concept. The mix of simplicity and a ton of complexity built on top of that is what has garnered Smash a pretty large competitive scene. Notably Melee, which I will not even begin to talk about because I will be wrong. In a similar way to Celeste, each moment in a match is like a little puzzle, and I think that's what makes Smash unique. At a casual level, fighting games are kind of uninteresting, but even a casual Smash player will learn what moves are good in what situation over time. This is only multiplied in competitive play, particularly in Melee, where crazy shit like wave dashing exists. I don't understand any of this, I'm sorry. Again, this stuff really far over my head. But even though I'm pretty bad at Smash, the elegant and easy to learn controls keep me coming back, only to get my ass kicked by some fucking Ridley main online. Dude, I don't even know if he's still in the meta anymore. I haven't played Smash in a while. Good controls aren't hard to come by. It's practically demanded that modern games control at least okay. But among these, there's only a small amount of games that control great. The games I've talked about, Smash, Skate, Celeste, Odyssey, these are instant classics to me that will go down in the record books as some of the most loved games of this era. Today's devs chase after fancy graphics, huge worlds, funny vibrations, etc. But I think people end up thinking more about controllers than the controls. Mario 64 used what looked like a fucking bird controller. Melee used a joke controller that was made for April Fool's Day, and then Shigeru Miyamoto was like, I guess we'll use this. And I played the entirety of Skate 3 with this horrendous looking thing. So with that, I think I should conclude with what we're all thinking. Give Gex a fucking skateboard. If there's no flick it system in Gex 4, we will riot. Good night, boys.